Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope all of you are having an awesome week so far. Students, in this class we are looking at an IELTS Speaking Part 1 question set about sleep. The goal of this class to give you strategies, tips on how to get those higher scores in your speaking exam, and we will practice with some students and give feedback so you get an idea of band scores and what you need to do to improve your scores. Everybody, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, visit us there. For the general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. These are our websites that power these live classes. If you're enjoying these live classes regularly, it's a good idea to spend a couple dollars so that you can maximize your learning. Our academic IELTS website is the blue background. It's this one here. And all you have to do to join the premium package is click this big red button above my head. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We're an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, an IELTS Test Registration Center. I'm a British Council agent. When you gain access to the site, you will have a My Student account with computer-based practice exams, a full interactive course, exam books that you can download with original practice exams, over 150 videos that explain each part of the test, and lots more. For the general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com, and it's the red button here that's just above my head. Again, you can use this code when you click that button. The discount code is public9, coming from one of our more recent releases on YouTube. That will get you a 10% discount, and it's a one-time payment for lifetime access. It's not a subscription model, and in fact even that one payment is less than many of our competitors' subscription models. So you are in great hands with us. Students, the apps that will link to the websites are Academic IELTS Help for aehelp.com and General IELTS Help for gieltshelp.com. Welcome, Fuang. Good to see a member in the class. Welcome, Carolina, our chat moderator. Oh, hi, Anna. I see another member there as well. Welcome, Kruti. Miss you, Mariam. Ugulhan, nice to see many students with me today. Carolina is our chat moderator. You can ask her questions as well. She can help you out. And you can also purchase our courses through Shopify directly through YouTube. If you do that, make sure to send me an email. My email address is adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com so we can activate those accounts. All right, students, so we've got speaking part 1 for you right now. And then tomorrow, members, we will have reading a little bit earlier. And at the same time, tomorrow, we will have listening part 1 and part 2 using one of our exams for our subscribers. So make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. That's free, and you will get notifications about these live classes so that you can attend these sessions, especially when you have exams coming up. On Saturday, we'll do speaking part 2 and speaking part 3. The public speaking video that teaches you about the concept of public speaking and why that's important for the IELTS exam for the speaking section is this link right here. I will put it into the chat. Definitely check that out. I interview an expert in public speaking who kind of gives you tips on what you need to do to be an effective public speaker and how that will help you in your IELTS speaking test. All right, everybody, let's jump right into the lesson. Now, this is IELTS Speaking Part 1, and it is important that you speak and repeat. So whether you're sitting at your breakfast table, getting ready for bed, studying in your bedroom or in your study room, living room, be confident, be brave, be loud, speak and repeat. Copy what I say, copy how I say it. Students, the speaking exam is about 12 to 15 minutes. It has 3 parts. Show up to your exam center an hour early. And the reason I say that is because when you show up early and you're using English for an hour before your speaking test, you will get a better mark, okay? You will be more fluent. It's very hard for our brain to just switch languages on the fly, meaning on the spot, with the examiner. So speak English only to improve your score, okay? Find other candidates. When you go to the exam, you will see other candidates kind of walking around, looking nervous. They're quite obvious. And you can say, hey, are you here for the IELTS speaking test? Me too. I brought some questions with me. This guy, Adrian, on the internet said we should probably practice some of these questions before our interview. Would you like to do that? And I'm sure that some candidates will say, yes, that's a great idea. Thanks for asking. Let's sit down on this bench here and do that. Okay, so make sure to do that. And then you check in for your speaking 20 minutes before for your face-to-face interview. They will take your picture. They will ask you to leave everything in a secure room except your ID, your pen, pencil, eraser, and a bottle of water. And then 20 minutes later, you will go into the exam room with the examiner. Now, the examiner is just another person. A lot of people get really nervous when they see the examiner, especially for some candidates. It's the first time they're speaking English to a native speaker. So just remember, everybody, they're human. It's just another person. It's like me. They're there to do a job. They're not an English teacher. They're not there to help you with your English. Okay? They are there to ask you a set of questions, listen to your answers, and then make a judgment on your use of English and your ability to communicate ideas effectively, okay? Now, if you're feeling a bit nervous, one kind of trick that you can use is you need to visualize that examiner. Just kind of picture your grandfather or your grandmother, one of the grandparents that you really feel a good connection with. You feel that you're able to speak with them easily. So picture that the examiner is your loving grandmother or grandfather. Now, when you do that, of course, one reason that you do this is to make you feel comfortable. Okay, but there are some other reasons that it's a good idea to picture that the examiner is your grandfather or your grandmother and not your friend or not somebody for a job interview like a boss. But it's better that you're imagining that the examiner's grandpa or grandma. Why is that? That should remind you of some other strategies. And those of you who attend these classes regularly, it's a good time to refresh this concept. So what do you think? Anna, Carolina, if you want to help a little bit, Orkan, Munshi, why is that a good idea to just kind of sit down, look at the examiner? They're obviously a stranger at first. It's kind of like, oh boy. They're very serious looking often. They're kind of checking you out, making sure you're who you say you are. And then you kind of picture your smiley, happy grandma, grandpa. You're feeling a bit more confident suddenly. You're feeling a little bit more comfortable suddenly. You're sitting straight. You're putting your hands on the table, open body language. Yeah, so Dia says it also is important that we picture our grandpa or grandma, not dad, mom, or sister, or somebody else, because with grandpa and grandma, we need to speak clearly and with detail. Okay? Grandpa and grandma are 2 generations removed, right? So they don't know about TikTok. They don't know about Instagram. They don't have all the information about social media. And sometimes your examiners are older gentlemen or ladies as well, into their 50s, maybe even their 60s. So they don't have the same pop culture that you have. So speak clearly with detail, with good explanations and examples. They don't have the knowledge that you have, okay? So they might not know about the latest social media fad, or if you say that you saw a post on X, they might not even know Twitter, yet alone X. So you have to give them that information, right? So you speak clearly with good detail. You speak loud, right? Grandma, grandpa, sometimes they don't hear that well. In fact, often they don't hear that well. So you need to speak loud with a crisp voice. Okay? Super important. All right? So that's another reason why it's good to imagine that you're speaking to grandma and grandpa. Okay? All right. So then the examiner will look at you and they will say, welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. We're conducting this exam in Toronto. The exam center is 97QR4. This is candidate number 77219335 and examiner number 4662. Let's begin. May I see your identification? Okay, as soon as you hear that, your thought should be full sentences, professional communication. Okay, you have to be very familiar with this question. In the face-to-face interview, they will always ask this question. In the computer-based, they don't, because they have your registration information. So they start with the next question. But let's do this one. So it should remind you of full sentences and professional communication. Okay. So what do you say? Well, there are lots of ways to answer this question. Practice several so your answers come out natural. They don't come out like memorized templates. Of course, all language is memorized. We learn language from others and we memorize it. But if we have different versions in our heads and we practice them, then they just come across as more natural. Okay? So you're basically speaking with less effort. Okay, now here, you can just say, for example, gladly, here is my passport that I had used to register for this exam. Please take a look at my details. Okay. Lots of ways to answer this question. Just make sure it's polite. Don't say yes, please, because then it sounds like the examiner just asked you if you want a glass of water and you said yes, please. It's not accurate English. Okay. If you say yes, please, you need to say yes, please have a look at the least. Okay. So it's a common mistake. That's why I'm telling you that one. A lot of students say yes, please. And it's kind of like, I didn't ask you if you wanted water. Why are you saying yes, please? Even though the examiner is technically not marking you at this point, for sure they are measuring your English level right away. Okay. All right. Simranjeet has this answer for us. Simranjeet says, yes, of course. Please take a look at my credentials. Here it is. Okay. To complete that sentence, Simranjeet, you need that word there. Here it is. Okay. Munshi says, yes, of course. Here is my passport that I used to register for this test. Please have a look. Okay, that works, Munshi. Fine. It does. You don't have to overspeak, so you have to control yourself. Okay, don't underspeak. Don't overspeak. There's a fine line. You need to find that fine line, that balance in your speaking before you sit your exam. Bad advice that you hear on the internet is speak until the examiner stops you. That is not a good strategy, okay? So bad IELTS advice, speak until the examiner stops you. No. This is awkward and will lead to lower scores. You need to do this instead. Okay, so instead, answer, explain, give examples, and stop. Find the right balance for clear, complete answers without overspeaking. Okay? If they keep interrupting you, then your coherence mark will suffer, and your coherence mark is extremely important for a good score, okay? If you keep talking and they keep interrupting you and you keep going off topic and getting interrupted at half ideas, then you're not coherent and they will give you a band 6. Okay, they'll just say, okay, they're fluent, but they don't make a lot of sense because they just keep talking and they don't have an idea of how to have a conversation in English. So you need to have a conversation, okay? They're measuring that, okay? All right, I see some nice answers. Deborah says, certainly, here's my passport I used to register for the exam about 6 weeks ago. Please take a look at my credentials. Okay, that's nice, Deborah. Again, you want to be fluent, especially if you're giving a bit of a longer answer. So, Deborah, you want this speed. Now, everybody, this is a recorded session, and if you missed some of this or if you're having trouble repeating, that's okay. You can watch this class later on YouTube and then practice again. You can check the time of the lesson when there's a sentence that you want to practice, and then you can write it down. Like right now, we're at 16 minutes. So, you can write down at 16 minutes, longer introduction. Deborah, certainly, here's my passport I used to register for the exam about 6 weeks ago. Please take a look at my credentials. Natural speed. Okay, and then the examiner will ask you, what is your full name? Again, professional, right? The examiner is not your buddy. They're not your English teacher. They're not your cousin. They're not your video game pal that you play Call of Duty with in the US. They are a professional, like a customs officer, like a professor in your university that you're going to, like your new colleague at your new job. So you answer that question clearly in a professional context, okay? So my given name is Michael, and my surname is DuPont. Please just call me Mike for short. Okay? That's a professional answer. That's something I would say to my new colleague. If my colleague was like, oh, can I have your full name? I would say, yeah, sure. My given name is Michael. My surname is DuPont. Please call me Mike for short. And then he would say, great to meet you, Mike. It's nice to work together. Okay, so same concept with the examiner. The examiner can't talk back to you. They're instructed not to talk back to you, and that makes it a little bit awkward. But you still need to speak to them as a professional. Can you use slang? Can you use idioms? Can you use colloquial language like wanna and gonna? Yes, absolutely. It's even a good idea because it shows your range of English, but don't start with that, okay? So this is another good tip for everybody. It is good to use slang, idioms, colloquial language. Colloquial language means kind of like street language or everyday language, casual language, but not at the start of the test. Show your academic or professional English first, and then introduce your colloquial language. Okay, so what do I mean by that? To be a little bit clear, first say want to, then say gonna or wanna, okay? All right. Or first say ecstatic, and then say over the moon, meaning you're very happy, okay? So show them the professional English first, all right? Okay, we have some answers here for this question. What is your full name? Pranav says, my given name is Pranav and my family name is Danapuneni. Please call me as my first name, Pranav. it's more natural, Pranav, to say, please call me by my first name, at least in Canadian English or North American English. Please call me by my first name, Pranav. And then I can say, okay, Pranav, for part one, I will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better and some questions on a general topic. And that's what happens. Okay, so here, the examiner will say exactly that. So after they look at your passport, after they listen to you introduce yourself, give your name, then they will say, okay, for part one, I will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better and some questions on a general topic. Where do you live? Okay. And then you want to give a nice full sentence answer. This kind of a question, these first couple of questions like where do you live, what are your hobbies? Again, those should immediately remind you that you need to give clear explanations and include the odd example. Just smoothly include the example, okay? So okay, that's what you should be remembering right away. If you hadn't remembered when you pictured that you're looking at your grandpa or your grandma, then now is a good time to make sure that you remember this, okay? So I live in a suburban neighborhood in Victoria, BC, in a 4-bedroom detached house with my wife and 2 children. Okay, so that would be my full sentence answer. Again, focus on the question. A common mistake here is people will talk about the place where they live. They'll say something like, I live in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It's a big city. Although it's not the capital, it's one of the most populated cities. It has a lot of beaches. And then they get interrupted because the examiner didn't ask for you to describe your city. They just asked for where do you live? And where do you live generally means like, what's your location? Okay, not tell me about the city where you live. It's a common misunderstanding. Don't do that, because then the examiner kind of starts to panic in their head and think, okay, I have to keep interrupting this person because they're going to overspeak and go off topic. Okay, everybody got that? You can do a thumbs up in the chat when you understand some of these tips and points. So we have some nice answers here. Carolina, thank you for confirming the thumbs up. Okay. Simranjit Kaur says, I live in a small town which is a rail coach factory situated in Hartley, princely state of Kapurthala. It is a vibrant city and famous for beautiful architecture and rich heritage. Okay, so Simranjit, this is a good example of good English, bad answer, okay? So this is what you have to be really careful about, students. A lot of the Band 6 candidates, this is the problem. And Simranjit, this is a perfect example for this. So many candidates that should get a Band 7 or more get a Band 6 because they speak good English but have bad answers, to put it simply. Okay, so Simranjit, this is good English but it's a bad answer. It's not considered good communication. Good English gets you a Band 6. Good communication gets you a Band 7, 8, 9. Does everybody understand that? And let me show you why. What's the problem with this answer, Simranjit? And everybody else can help Simranjit here. What's the problem with this answer? Okay. So this is my question as the examiner. Where do you live? And then here's Simranjit sitting in front of me. And they go, I live in a small town, which is a rail coach factory situated in Hartley, princely state of Kapurthala. It is a vibrant city and famous for beautiful architecture and rich heritage. Why is this only a band 6? It's got some good vocabulary. The grammar's okay. Why is it only a band 6? So it's kind of off topic. I'm not asking you to describe your city. That's part of it. But you could still get an okay score with a bit of description. Okay, so Fuang says, which country? Like, what is the actual name of your town? Okay, so the examiner is thinking this. So where do you actually live? So if I'm your examiner here, Simranjit, I would mark this as a band 6. If you said it fluently, I would say fluent answer. But it's a band 6. It's not good English. Why? Because in my head, I would go, so where do you actually live? What is the name of the town? And another question that I would immediately have, Simranjit, with this answer is, so is this a town or a city? That would be my second question. Excuse me, getting over this cold. Okay, so I still don't know the name of the town where you live, and I don't even know if it's a town or a city. The question here is, can I find Simranjit on a map? Definitely not. I might type into Google something like, what are famous rail coach factory towns near this place, and then I would find it, but it's not enough, right? I'd have to do research. So does everybody understand why this is not an effective answer? Simranjit, if you're there, I would love for you to try this answer again and then put down, like, I live in a small town called this, in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's situated in the princely state of Kapurthala. It's a vibrant town famous for its beautiful architecture and rich heritage. And then I would be like, okay, that's where you live. That's what's going on. Okay? And so coherence is very, very important. Okay? Very important. The better the examiner can actually understand you, the better your score is going to be. All right, now the next question they might ask you, just to kind of make you feel comfortable, and this is why some people think, oh, my part 1 was just kind of all over the place, but it's because they're probably asking you a few different questions to try to get you to feel comfortable. So the next question they'll ask you is, what is your favorite food? Okay, Anahita, nice to see you in the class. Anahita, one of our longer time members, also in Canada, has this answer for us. As a vegetarian, my favorite food is falafel because of its combination of herbs, chickpeas, and spices, creating a flavorful and satisfying alternative to meat-based dishes. Okay, and you know what? Instead of going indeed the proteins, you have such a good answer here, Anahita. I would just give a quick example. In fact, I had a delicious falafel for lunch yesterday, now that I think of it. Okay, it's a nice expression, now that I think of it. And if it is your favorite food, there is a good chance that you just recently had it, right? So, Anahita, that's a really good answer. It's got good detail. It's got clear answer. One food, you're focusing on the falafel. That's what you want to say to get those band 8, band 9, very good and expert level marks. Okay, what is your favorite food? Anahita is not telling me that there are lots of foods that she likes, but the one she wants to talk about today, no, she's thinking about that one favorite food. It's the falafel. She even gives me that extra detail that she's a vegetarian, which is a good use of vocabulary. So again, repeat, this is a band 9 answer. What is your favorite food? As a vegetarian, my favorite food is falafel because of its combination of herbs, chickpeas, and spices, creating a flavorful and satisfying alternative to meat-based dishes. In fact, I had a delicious falafel for lunch yesterday, now that I think of it. Okay. And then some people go, well, I can't speak. I don't even speak like that in everyday life, even in my own language. Anybody have that feeling when you're preparing for the IELTS and you're watching these videos or some of our videos on the website? Does anybody have that feeling where you're kind of like this? You're like, what? I don't even speak like that in my own language in everyday life. Okay, everybody have that, right? Aaliyah says yes. Akira says yes. Wong says yes. Well, here's the news, ladies and gents. IELTS speaking interview is not everyday life. Okay, so the IELTS speaking for band 7.5 or more is not your everyday life communication in your language or in another or in English. Okay, or English. It is professional and academic language. Okay, now when you ask yourself, do you speak like that when you're giving a presentation in your school or in university, or when you're talking to a business partner? Think about it this way. This is a good explanation here. Nurses need a band 7 or more on IELTS. Do nurses speak to patients the same as their pals? No. They need thoughtful, purposeful communication. Okay? Again, everybody, keep in mind, IELTS is not an English as a second language test. It's an English proficiency exam. It's used for professional jobs. It's used for graduate school, master's, PhD. You don't talk in these situations with people like you do in everyday life. So if you don't do that in your own language and you need to get a band 7, 8, 9, then you need to focus on professional communication in both English and your own language. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, so if you need those higher scores, and why not, right? You must give effort to control and speak professionally in both your own language and English. Okay? So obviously, if a nurse is talking to a patient, they're not going to say, well, I've got some horrible news for you. You want to hear it? You're going to die. What? Right? It's a bad way to say things, but it's a good example of why a nurse would not speak like that. Okay? So sorry, you're going to die. What? Okay, obviously there's going to be some very thoughtful communication when delivering horrible news to a patient. Okay? So you need to think about that, okay? An IELTS examiner is going to be a little bit worried to let somebody have a high band score who speaks like that, okay? And then goes to be a nurse in some other country and talks to the patients that way, obviously, right? So when you're looking at these videos and these classes and you're going, well, I don't even speak like that in my everyday life in English, then stop for a second and think about what you're doing and what the situation is. Okay, I get that. I get that it's not the same. All right, nobody said it is the same. Okay, all right. Good answer by Anahita. Now, then the examiner will get into some specific questions. They'll say, let's talk about sleep. Okay. IELTS topics, you can never guess them. This one, I'm sure, would surprise some people. So the examiner will say, how many hours do you sleep in a day? Okay, again, imagine here, so I would, let's say, what am I imagining here when I'm trying to think about the answer? Here, I would imagine, for example, that I am speaking to my doctor about having difficulties sleeping. Okay, so not my pal, right? Again, it's professional language. So I would think, okay, how would I explain this professionally to my doctor if I was having some sleeping problems? By the way, if somebody cannot sleep, what is that called? Just for some fun vocabulary, let's see who knows the answer. Difficulty sleeping. It's a high level vocabulary here. What is it? Anybody know? It starts with an I. Very good, Anahita. Good for you. Look at that rich language coming out. Cigaretta, very nice. Look at all of you who know the answer to that. I hope it's not because you have that. Yeah, it's insomnia. Okay. So insomnia. Yes, absolutely. All right, Joker, don't go that deep, Joker. Joker says, according to doctors, a younger person should sleep 8 hours per day, but I only sleep 7 hours. I would ask you why, Joker, in that case, but you don't need to give the recommended hours of sleep, okay? All right, Anna has this nice fluent answer for us. Anna says, I always sleep 8 hours per day from 10 p.m. To 6 a.m. every day because I believe that a good night's... This is a tricky one, Anna. It's possessive. Good night's sleep. Good night's sleep is okay. That would be acceptable. But the more accurate English here is good night's sleep. So pay attention one more time, everybody. Anna has a good answer. Here we go. I always sleep 8 hours per day from 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. every day because I believe that a good night's sleep improves my general stamina and gives me energy for the upcoming day. I had good sleep or sound sleep last night, so I'm feeling energetic for this exam. Okay, well, there's a nice answer for you with a bit of a smooth example there, Anna, to finish that off. All right, Sumit, another nice natural answer. So Sumit says, I try to get as much sleep as possible, but because I have morning class, I usually have to wake early, around 7 hours or so. Couple of mistakes here, Sumit, that would lower your score. You have because here. Okay, so you should not have so here. Careful with the double connectives. They make language really awkward. So this one should be omitted. Okay, so I try to get as much sleep as possible, but because I have morning class, comma, I usually have to wake up early around 7 a.m. or so. Okay, that's your accurate answer. Okay, let's jump a few questions and we'll practice these again verbally. So in a couple of minutes, I'm going to ask for some volunteers and we're going to use Zoom, everybody, today to practice. Here is the Zoom download. And here is the link for today's class. Everybody can join in now if you want. I will let everybody into the Zoom session in a few minutes once we cover another question. And then you can practice all of these and I will give you more strategies, tips, and feedback, and you can hear your classmates answering these questions and get a really good idea of pronunciation, fluency, coherence, and how all these elements affect your scores. Okay, but before we do that, let's get into just one more kind of written answer here for this question. How do you feel when you do not get enough sleep? Give me a nice full sentence answer here. So, how do you feel when you do not get enough sleep? Now, here is a good question while you're answering that. Another little bit of sleep vocabulary. When a person did not get enough sleep, they are sleep something. It starts with a D. believe that many letters. It's not a sleep disorder. Okay. Very good, Miss You. Good vocabulary. They're sleep deprived. Okay. It's a good collocation to remember. So if you didn't get enough sleep, you can say, I am sleep deprived. Okay. Nice. Okay. So give me a nice full sentence answer. I will do the same like this. Okay, when I'm sleep deprived, I feel irritable and unproductive. The other day, I only got 5 hours of sleep and I was dragging my feet all day. Some more language in there for you. Dragging my feet just basically means you're not really doing much. Okay? It's a nice idiom. The higher level vocabulary for that is procrastinating, right? So slow to work and putting off work for later. Okay, dragging my feet. Just repeat these new words after me. So insomnia, sleep deprived, dragging my feet. All right, everybody, doing good so far. So let's see some answers here. Nice. Miss You, I like the answer. Here's some more good vocabulary coming at you. Okay, Miss You says, I usually feel groggy like a zombie when lacking sleep. Last Sunday, I slept only 4 hours and I could not focus on my studies. Eventually, a little bit more for fluency here, Miss You. Eventually, I gave up and just watched some movies on Netflix instead. Okay. Groggy's like, oh, like a zombie. Zombies are kind of groggy. You can also say I felt like a zombie. Okay, so often we'll just choose one of those and not combine them, but it's okay like this. We usually just don't combine them. So I usually feel groggy like a zombie when lacking sleep. Last Sunday, I slept only 4 hours in the night and I couldn't focus on my studies. Eventually, I gave up and just watched some movies on Netflix instead. Okay, so groggy, another nice word for you. Lacking sleep, also a nice combination of words here. Nice phrasing. Okay, the examiners are marking all of that, everybody. All right, we've got about 30 people, I think, in the Zoom session right now. So we'll switch to Zoom, everybody, and you'll be able to volunteer for speaking. So I'm going to go over these part 1 questions with some of our viewers and give you some feedback. Here is Zoom, everybody. Let me show you what's going on here. So we're using Zoom. The link is in the chat. Maybe Carolina, you can repeat the link just for everybody so that they can join in. And if you would like to speak with me, just raise your hand. You see how Anahita and Sumiparno and Trung, they have their hands up. SC has their hands up. If you want to raise your hand, you want to volunteer, then just use the reactions icon here. Okay. And again, while people are joining in, just keep in mind, everybody, that this lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, make sure to visit us here and join our premium course. It's this big red button here. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access, and it helps us to help you learn and improve, and we're always bringing you great materials. So aehelp.com. In our website, you will find in your My Student account lesson videos. And in these lesson videos, you will find all of our speaking lessons. I don't show this enough to people, but if you take a look at the speaking video lessons, there are currently 1 all the way to 116 sample speaking interviews with different questions, and you have them with full audio and practice,
Have you helped?
first person and third person perspective as well. Okay, so tons and tons of content for you
The temple itself is
to practice for the speaking section. Okay, lots and lots. So again, that's on our website, tons and tons, at aehelp.com. Okay, so check that out. For general IELTS, same idea, gieltshelp.com. Click that big red button. Okay, let me get my headphones on here so I can hear you as you're communicating with me. Let's just jump back to the questions here. Okay, everybody, so Zoom, here we go. We've got more people joining in. Fantastic. Okay, Trung, can you unmute yourself, please? Trung, are you there?
Hello.
Hi, Trung. How are you?
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Trung. Yeah, absolutely. How are you doing?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Oh, just a second. Just a second. Trung, I'm just figuring out the. Just give me a second, everybody. I'm just messing around with the Zoom here. For some reason, it's not showing me the option to unmute myself. So just give me a second. Okay. Oh, Zoom. Oh. Now I've started another piece of software. Just a second, everybody. Where is it hiding? Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. All right, Trung, are you there? You can hear me now, right? Trung. Yep, you should be able to hear me. Yeah, hi, Trung. Yeah, I just had the mic off on Zoom while I was doing the YouTube teaching. All right, Trung, I appreciate your patience. Okay, Trung, first of all, can you just introduce yourself? Can you tell me where you are and why you're taking the IELTS exam?
I'm from Vietnam. I live on the fringe of Hanoi City, the capital of Vietnam. And I have once talked with you last week, and I remember that.
Yeah, I remember your name. And can you just remind me why you're taking the IELTS exam?
I just want to improve my English speaking skill, and I want to communicate with other people. And I just have a few days after before the IELTS exam, about 10 days.
Okay. All right, Trung, well, let me ask you some part 1 speaking questions, and then we'll have a short discussion on your score and what you can do to improve. Sounds good?
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
Welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. For part 1, I will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better and some questions on a general topic. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food is phở, the traditional food of Vietnam, and I think that is a great combination of beef and the broth, and it takes the chef a lot of time to do it, to cook it, and it's based on their perseverance and dedication to the foods and dishes.
Let's talk about sleep. How many hours do you sleep in a day?
I sleep about average 8 hours a day, 6 hours at night, and 2 hours at noon. And I think that it's actually recharged my batteries and ready for the following day with a lot of homework and some challenge about my life.
Where do you like to sleep?
I like to sleep at home on my bedroom. It's quite spacious and comfortable for me, and it's quite a familiar place. I sleep in. I try to sleep in the other place, and I don't be a I I I don't be, I isn't be accustomed to that, and I have to deal with the insomnia for a long period of time.
Okay, let's stop there. I'll give you some feedback. So, Trung,
Yeah.
good. All right, you've got a lot of vocabulary in your head. You've got a lot of information in your head. Your band score overall would be about a band 6 to 6.5. Your vocabulary is definitely helping your score. You have to pay attention to your grammar. Your grammar is about a band 5. You definitely make some awkward grammatical mistakes that often make it a little bit tricky to follow exactly what you're saying. The most important tip, Trung, that I'm going to give you, are you paying attention?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Don't rush. So to me, it feels like you're rushing. You're trying to speak too quickly. It's like
yes.
if I compare it to running, it's like you're trying to run so fast that you keep tripping on your feet and almost falling over and stumbling. Okay. So
Yes.
in the real exam, speak slower, focus more on clarity
Yes.
and grammar, and you'll get a better score. So I think that, if you keep going this way, you'll end up with like a band 6. But if you slow down a little bit and just focus more on your grammar accuracy, and instead of saying so much information, say a little bit less, so 70% of what you just said, but clearly, then you'll get a 6.5. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you want to just
Yes.
try
Yes.
to answer one question for me a little bit slower? So answer this question for me one more time, but just slower. So 15% slower. Less information is okay. Just really focus on speaking clearly, okay? So how many hours do you sleep in a day?
I sleep about 8 hours a day, 6 hours at night and 2 hours at noon. And I think that it improved my stamina and it provide me essential energy for my following days.
Stop there.
And that,
Stop there. Stop there.
yeah,
Stop there. Okay?
yeah,
For the following day, okay?
for the following day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was much better. Okay, that was already much better. I'm sure, like, let's bring our audience into this, so all of our viewers. Did everybody hear the difference here between Trung's first answer and this answer? How much more comfortable, easy to understand, more coherent it was. There were still some small mistakes, but definitely a lot easier to follow. Your pronunciation improved as well. Would everybody agree with me on that? That this answer was a half a band higher than your previous. So Trung, that's what you want to do. Okay, so focus on
Yeah.
less. It's that concept of less is more. Okay, so don't rush.
Yeah.
Clear language. Okay. You can see that
Yeah. I know it.
your peers and your classmates are agreeing as well. Absolutely. Pulak
Yeah.
says a lot better, right? So don't rush. That's a common mistake. Students get into the IELTS exam, they're really nervous, they think they have to speak so much and show all this vocabulary. In 15 minutes, I guarantee you will show enough vocabulary to the examiner without rushing. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So Trung,
And
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and now I have to practice speaking slowly.
Yeah, speak a bit slower and speak more accurately, okay? Just
Yeah.
like you did. Just like you did. That's exactly what you want to
Okay.
practice, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
I know it.
Okay, thank you, Trunk, so much. Keep coming back for the next little while
Yeah.
until you have your exam, okay?
You do it.
Okay, bye, Trunk. Thank you for volunteering. Okay, everybody, that was Trung. You can give Trung a thumbs up, by the way, as well. So in Zoom, in the reactions here, you can click on thumbs up, and then Trung can see that we're all in support. Okay, so that was really good. Okay, let me find another volunteer here. We have lots and lots of people with their hands up, which is lovely to see. We haven't heard from Juan in a while. Juan is one of our students who has been with us for quite some time and is very studious. Let's check in with Juan. Juan, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can, Juan. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right. Did you listen to the interview with Trung just now, Juan?
Yes, I was listening.
Okay. And did the advice sound a little familiar?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
When I asked you to unmute yourself, I hadn't made the connection yet, but as soon as you started speaking, of course, it registered in my memory, and I'm like, oh yes, Juan is another one of those candidates who tends to speak very quickly. I think it's part of your diction, right? And I think I've given you the same advice before, is just slow down a little bit and
Yeah.
focus more on the intonation, the content. All right. Juan, are you ready for some of these questions?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, let's talk about sleep. How many hours do you sleep in a day?
I usually sleep between 7 and 8 hours. At night, I usually go to bed around midnight, and I wake up around 7 in the morning. But during the evening, I usually sleep I usually take a nap, like for 30 minutes to 1 hour.
Why?
I usually feel like I need it because during the evening I feel a bit tired because of because of my activities during the morning. So yeah, I think it's also kind of cultural thing here. It's like everyone take naps.
Where do you like to
I don't know.
sleep?
I usually sleep in my queen size bed, which is really restful and cozy, which is located in my bedroom in the first floor of my house.
What helps you to sleep better and why?
Reading, usually, I find reading very relaxing. So before going to bed, I usually read a couple of pages from a book. That helps me sleep better because it's very relaxing, and for me, it's also fun. Nowadays, I'm reading a book called How to Draw because it's related to my work.
Okay, good. Juan, I'm not sure if you would have spoken like this had we not had that discussion with Trung and what I mentioned to you, but as a very clever individual that you are, you realize that, okay, yeah, I have to really pay attention to my pacing here, and because I know how you speak often, and I can definitely tell that you controlled yourself there. So you were thinking, okay, a little bit slower, a little bit more focused, and that was really good. So that would definitely be like a band 8.5 level conversation at this point. There were a couple of slight oddities, some awkward nuances, but 8.5 is a very high score nonetheless. So that was pretty good. Let me just emphasize some of the points that you did really well. Now, of course, everybody watching, in part one, you should be aiming for some really high scores like 7, 5, 8, 9, because it's part two and part three that tend to be more challenging and will ultimately lower scores for a lot of people. So I asked Juan how many hours he sleeps in a day, and Juan says, I usually sleep between 7 and 8 hours, and that was good. And then you gave me the precise timing. You said I go to bed at midnight and wake up at 7, and then you said in the evening I take a nap for 30 minutes to an hour, and then you didn't tell me why. Now, I'm guessing that you do that so you get a second boost of energy, right? That's usually why we do it. In Spanish, what do you call that short afternoon nap?
Siesta.
It is the siesta. We use it in English as well. So I had a siesta. I think it's like that. I had
you can say it
yeah, you can
that
say
way
it in
too?
English. Yeah, you can use it in English. Absolutely. It is a Spanish word, but we've adopted it to English. In English, sometimes we'll say I take a nap, but it's so commonplace now globally, and because it's the Spanish culture that carries the siesta mostly around the world, it's used. So we use it. So I say that to my friends all the time. When I get the chance, the rare times that I get the chance, I'll say, oh, I had a siesta yesterday. So I had a siesta for about 30 minutes. I caution people. I always say you have to be really careful. Only use a word like siesta if you're 1,000% sure that it's used in English. If you're not sure, then you should use the word nap. Okay? Nap would be a short sleep. So I had a siesta for about 30 minutes. And then if you're like, I want to make sure that the examiner doesn't think that I'm speaking Spanish, then you can say, I take these short naps to give myself a second boost of energy in the day. So let me ask you one more time, Juan, why do you have 30-minute sleep in the afternoon or in the evening?
I usually do it because I need a second boost of energy. For example, yesterday I had a siesta. I usually take those naps because I feel I really need them.
Perfect. That's your band 9 right there. Okay, that's your hyper clear communication. That's what we would call an expert. Why do I call you an expert? Because you clearly know that siesta is culturally accepted globally. You also know its synonym nap. You know that it can be used in the plural, naps, as well. Quantified with example. It's the exact answer that you want for that band 9. Make sense, Juan?
Yes.
Right? That's your effective communication. So, have you had your siesta today? Have you had your nap?
No yet.
All right. A little bit later, right? It's a little bit, a little bit early still for that siesta, right? All right. Well, I hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and I hope you have a good siesta. Juan, thank you so much for volunteering.
Thank you, Adrian, and see you.
Bye, Juan.
Bye.
All right, that was Juan, everybody. Let's give Juan a thumbs up. And let's look for some more volunteers. So that is what you need to do. Okay, that's your example for those high band communications. Okay, I see some more hands up. Sabrina's iPhone. Let's ask Sabrina's iPhone to unmute. Sabrina, are you there?
Yes, I am there.
I am here. Yes.
I am here. Oh.
Okay. Hi, Sabrina. How are you?
Hi. Thanks. How about you?
I am doing great. Thank you for asking. Sabrina, this is your first time volunteering, right?
Yes, it was actually the first time that I joined your class.
Great. Where are you in the world?
Well, actually, I'm from Azerbaijan.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And my name is not Sabrina. My name is Sarvina.
Sarvina. So it's just your iPhone that's called Sabrina. Okay.
Sarvina.
Sarvina.
Not V. It's B. Sarbina.
Sarbina. Okay, Sarbina. Got it. Got it. Sarbina. And Sarbina, why are you taking the IELTS exam?
Actually, I wanted to enter the university in abroad, so I wanted to take IELTS exam for that reason.
Okay, that's the reason for over 1 million people every year. That is great. Sabrina, when is your test? Do you know? Do you have a test date already?
No, actually, I didn't book the day.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I did. I didn't have an idea what time it's perfect to take an IELTS exam.
Mm-hmm. When are you doing your applications for your university? Sarbina, I'm going to remember that. Sarbina, when are you doing your applications for university?
Actually, I didn't prepare anything for registration to another country, to another university.
Okay.
So I would like to, yes, that's it.
Okay. So just a quick FYI for everybody. FYI means for your information. International students registrations finish months, usually 3 months before the domestic students. So if, for example, in Canada, you want to start learning in September 2024, which is the start of the school, for the majority of universities, the school year. The cutoff for applications are around January, February. Some universities stretch it all the way until March. With COVID, there was quite a bit of change that went on, but usually it's in the first quarter of the year. You have to really check with the universities, okay? Now with the IELTS scores, so with the IELTS scores, ideally, you want to give your IELTS scores the same time that you do the rest of the registration package. So if you're submitting your transcripts, etc., you want to have your IELTS scores then. However, in some situations, they will accept your English score later. So you hand in your application and then they'll give you a conditional acceptance, it's called. So they'll say, okay, we conditionally accept your application if you're able to give us your IELTS score no later than June, and then you can do it in June, right? So sometimes you can get that extra bit of time to meet some of those requirements. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's fully makes sense.
Okay, it's called conditional acceptance. However, in a perfect world, if you know that you want to start school, for example, in September 2024, then you're getting all of your application materials, including your IELTS scores, ready by no later than mid-January of that year. Okay?
Yes.
So that's what you have to keep in mind. All right. Sarina, let's get into some of these questions. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, let's talk about sleep. Where do you like to sleep?
Well, actually, where do you like to sleep?
Where do you like to sleep?
Actually, I like to sleep in my bedroom because I think my bedroom is so comfy and spacious in order to have a good sleep during the day.
When do you go to bed?
Approximately 11 p.m. I would like to go to bed because I think it's the perfect timing to have a good sleep, and also I have an extra time to read a book in order to have a good sleep.
What helps you to sleep better?
There is lots of things that helps me to sleep better. Actually, meditation and yoga is the one of these things. And also before sleep, I like to read a book. I think it's also the one factor that helps me to sleep better.
How do you feel when you do not get enough sleep?
If in that situation I feel unproductive because in order to be productive in a day, I would the one reason it's to take a sleep better, and I feel also tired during the day, so it generally affects our mood and my mood and my actions.
Can you give me an example?
For example, the last day, because of my friend, I stay up late and we watch some Netflix movies, and because of that reason, I cannot sleep very well. And today, I woke up at 11 a.m. and it affects my mood during the day, and also I cannot participate in my university classes, and generally in the basis it changed my day to the bad.
I'm going to stop you there. All right. So good, Sarina, that's very good. So your band level is about a 7.75. Okay. I think you should be able to get a band 7.5 without too much difficulty, just some small adjustments to your language. And if you have some time, if you have a couple of months to really practice, you might even be able to get a band 8. Sarina, quick question. Are you planning to go for undergraduate or graduate studies abroad?
I wanted to go actually to do my master degree in the abroad.
Graduate. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
So
graduate.
graduate. Yeah, so with graduate studies, you definitely want to get as high of a score as possible. Graduate studies, the minimum is usually 7, although it's always going up these days. But you're competing with other graduate students. So if you can get an 8 in the speaking, that's definitely a positive for your supervisor, for your program, okay? And if you're not in a rush, then you should aim for a band 8. Okay, currently you're at about a 7.75 with some small adjustments in practice. I think you can do quite well. You have some small oddities that don't allow you to have that very good. So for example, here you said, because of my friend, I stay up late. You really need to pronounce that stayed up late. It's past tense. Okay, stayed up late. Stayed up late. So just some small grammatical nuances. They're nothing major, but if you can catch them, definitely fix it, okay? Also, try not to generalize. So in part 1, it's about you. So talk about yourself and avoid the word things. Anytime you hear yourself using the word things, stop yourself and replace it with a better word. Like there are some activities that help me to sleep better, such as meditation, okay? I was doing a sitting meditation for 30 minutes last week when I was really stressed and I couldn't go to bed. So just a little bit more detail, okay? Does that make sense? So stay away from the word things, especially repeating the word things. So lots of activities that help me to sleep better. Meditation and yoga are some of these activities or practices that help me to sleep better, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks.
Can you just repeat that after me? So there are lots of activities that help me sleep better. Meditation and yoga are 2 of these practices which allow me to get sound sleep.
There is actually lots of activities that help me to sleep better. Meditation and yoga, it's one of these practices in order it allows me to sleep better.
To get sound sleep.
It gets sound good sleep.
Allows me to get sound sleep.
Yes, it allows me to get sound sleep.
Or sleep soundly is the other way you could say it. Okay. All right. That was good. I hope you come back again. I hope you're enjoying this class.
Yes, I'm quite enjoyed.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, keep watching. We'll have a few more volunteers, and tomorrow we'll have listening for subscribers. And if you decide to become a channel member and you want to join those chats, then we have reading for tomorrow for the members, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Sarina, thank you so much. We'll talk again. Bye for now.
Bye.
All right, that was Sarina. Let's give Sarina a thumbs up. Yeah, I misread that because of the English name Sarina. I'm sure you had this happen to you before. So Sabrina is a very common name in English. So I'm sure you're going to be correcting a lot of your friends once you get into your university somewhere abroad using English. You're going to have to often say, my name is Sarbina, not Sabrina, because that's going to be a common mistake, but beautiful name. Okay, thumbs up. Yeah, nice support, everybody. Let's take somebody else. Let's see who's in our list here. Let's check in with Amira. Amira, are you there? Hi, Amira. Amira, check your mic.
Hello? Hello?
Hi, Amira.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Amira, mute YouTube.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Yeah, the YouTube
Okay.
because we're getting double sound.
I did it.
Perfect.
Sorry.
All right. No, it's all good. A lot of buttons to press. I had the same. All right, Amira.
I just was surprised that you chose me.
Well, it's I try to balance. I try to remember who I chose, who I hadn't. I try to reward people who come back to class. So it's a balancing game on my end, but I try. Amira, are you ready to talk about sleep a little bit?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, then let's do it. Let's talk about sleep. How many hours do you sleep in a day?
Well, it depends. On work days, I sleep around 6 hours from midnight to 6 a.m. However, on weekends, I tend to sleep more, 8 hours or even 10. I often go to sleep at 2 a.m. Till noon.
How do you feel when you do not get enough sleep?
Well, like most people, I feel tired and irritable, and I can't focus on my tasks. And
Have you ever had difficulties sleeping?
Yes, I have had difficulties in sleeping. Always before exams days. I remember the night before my final university test in general surgery. I slept only an hour and a half before I had to revise as much information as I could, and I kept inventing questions in my head that might come in the exam next day.
Nice.
Mhm.
All right, I got most of that. Good, so you're not speaking super fast, and that's okay. So for everybody listening, that's still fluent language. Absolutely. Why? Because I can tell you're thinking about content, not so much the English, but you're thinking about speaking clearly, and that's good communication. Okay. Definitely a strong 775, I would say. Spoken a little bit faster with a little bit better vocabulary. That would be a band 8, even higher. Okay.
Wow.
Let me jump back. So they were very clear answers, right? And that's what the examiners are looking for, is clear communication. So the question the examiner is asking is, if this person were in a professional or academic setting, in a university class or in a hospital, would the colleagues, would the peers, the teachers, the supervisors, would they understand them? Or would they keep asking, what are you saying? Or can you tell me more? Here, I wouldn't ask you. I would be like, okay, I get what you're saying. All right. So I asked you the first question, how many hours in a day do you sleep? You said, well, it depends. Be very careful, everyone, with the it depends. It can get you into trouble because it's often difficult to explain that kind of answer of it depends. I usually tell IELTS candidates, don't say that on the IELTS because it can be challenging to explain that clearly. But in this case, you did an okay job. So you said, on weekdays, I sleep around 6 hours from midnight to 6 a.m. However, on the weekends, I tend to sleep more, 8 or even 10 hours. And then you said you go to sleep at 2 a.m. until noon. You're a night owl. Wow. Till noon. How do you do that? I couldn't do that even if I tried. So when there's kind of information that's almost a given, like it's like I can finish this sentence for you, you want to make sure that you try to include that. It sounds to me like you're catching up on sleep on the weekends. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So as your examiner, that's one of those parts where if the examiner is thinking in their head like, oh, I would definitely finish this answer with this sentence, and you don't say it, they're kind of thinking, well, maybe they can't, or they don't know how. So, so they might eventually start taking some scores when they feel like there's just consistently missing pieces. So here the missing piece that I really wanted to hear is I try to catch up on sleep on Saturdays and Sundays. Okay.
Actually, our weekend is on Friday.
Okay,
Only.
I stand corrected on Fridays. Okay, so
Yeah.
can you just repeat this sentence after me? I try to catch up on sleep on Fridays.
I try to catch up on sleep on Fridays.
Yeah. So the most important piece that I'm kind of just emphasizing here is catch up on sleep. Like that's what I was really looking for, because based on your description, it's
Okay.
like, oh, okay, you described it, but you didn't say it. And when you describe it, the examiner wants to hear it, right? So I catch up
Okay.
on sleep. Okay. And then I asked you,
Actually, that next question, I was thinking about something else, but you interrupted me.
yes, and that's what the examiner does. So when they feel like you've lost your train of
Yeah.
thought or you don't know where you're going, instead of wasting time, they interrupt you. They don't just interrupt you to keep the questions going, but they also interrupt you to kind of help you. Students don't realize this, but they also do that to help you, because if the examiner doesn't interrupt a candidate when the candidate feels lost or uncertain of what they're saying, then they tend to get worse and worse because they start to panic, they start to freak out. So the examiner sometimes, when they interrupt you, it's not that they're trying to be rude, but in some situations, they're actually trying to help you because they're trying to get you back on track, like back on the questions. You see what I'm saying with that, Amira?
Yes.
Right? So the way to avoid this situation is what, Amira? Can anybody?
I can tell him that give me a moment to think.
Yeah.
To
That's
collect my
one.
thoughts.
Yeah,
Give me a moment to collect my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way to do it. So, and you can even say you're nervous. You can say, I'm a bit nervous. Give me a moment. Let me collect my thoughts. And most
I
examiners
don't like
will kind of...
saying I'm nervous, so that he might feel I'm not confident.
And you don't have to, Amir, if you don't want to say that, that's fine. However, if you're obviously nervous, like if they can see it on you, right, then you might as well just call it, right? So you might not want to say it, but if you're sitting there looking, pale and your eyes are watery and huge, they're going to figure that out.
And my
without
heart
you.
beating so fast.
Yeah. And a lot of times what I notice, and by the way, this is actually a really good point to make to everybody, is people are fidgety. So we fidget when we're nervous. Do you fidget, Amira, when you're nervous? Do you know what that means?
What's the meaning of fidget?
Do you know those fidget toys that are really popular where people pop it and spin it in their hands? The word fidget is a verb, okay?
Like a ball,
like a
or,
fidget ball,
something.
or a fidget spinner.
Yeah.
So fidget is actually a verb. Fidget means to kind of move nervously. So if you're tapping your feet, or if you're tapping the table, or if you're kind of rocking back and forth in your chair, you're fidgeting. Okay, it's called fidgeting.
Actually, when I'm nervous, I don't do this. I just hold my hands crossed very tightly. I don't know how to express
Yeah,
that.
that's a defensive. That's a defensive pose. Yeah. So and a lot of students fidget, and so it is a good idea to try to control that in situations for sure. But anyway, so back to this question: how do you feel when you do not get enough sleep? Another way that you can avoid this getting stuck situation is, as soon as you feel like you're stuck, especially if you've given me an explanation like you did, give me an example. Okay, so you said, well, like most people...
Yes, I was thinking about that, yeah.
Okay, so, well, like, and just keep them simple. This is for everybody. I heard a couple examples today that were, I think, too much. You don't need examples that are really long, just simple. So, well, like most people, I feel tired and irritable and I can't focus on my tasks. I got into an argument with my friend about a silly topic because I felt exhausted from lack of sleep.
Actually, I was going to complete it in different way. I was going to add that I usually experience bad headaches when I'm low on sleep, and that actually happened to me just 2 days back.
And that's
when
it.
I
and that's it. You don't even need to do
Yes.
more. Just 2 days back.
Okay.
And as soon as
Okay.
you say 2 days back, that's enough, especially for part one. So again, don't overspeak. As soon as you've made sense of the situation, just stop and wait for the next answer. Of course, you can give more detail and more and more and more and more, but you have to limit yourself. And those examples should be relatively short. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And that would have been a good way to finish that sentence. Now, as soon as you say headaches, then I start thinking about the word migraine, because when people have headaches commonly, especially with lack of sleep, we often refer to those as migraines. So those kind of chronic
Yes,
headaches.
but migraine is headache in half of the head or in half of the brain.
Yeah.
On one side, yeah.
I agree with you, and believe me, I know the biology behind migraines as well, but in everyday language in the IELTS, you don't have to give them the medical science behind it. Believe me, it's just enough to say migraines, and you'll get marks for lexical resource for that. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay, and then have you ever had difficulty sleeping? That was a good answer as well. It was starting to get a little bit long. And you said, I remember the night before my final university test in general surgery, I slept only an hour and a half before I had to revise as many questions as I could. And I kept thinking about the questions that might come on the exam the next day. When we keep thinking about the same thought over and over in our heads, there's a nice high level verb for that. It starts with RUM. Do you know this word? It's got a few more. Yeah. Okay. So to think about an idea over and over. Do you know what that verb is? And your classmates in the chat can help you. Missy says rummaging. Anahita says rumbling.
Rumbling?
No, it's not rumbling. Epsilonator gets a thumbs up. That's what it is. Epsilonator got it. It's called ruminating. Ruminate. Okay. Ruminate means to think about the same idea, often a negative or challenging idea, over and over and over again. So I kept ruminating about the questions that might come on the exam. Can you repeat that sentence after me?
I kept ruminating about the questions that might come in the exam the next day. Come after in the exam?
Yeah, that might come up on the exam the next day, sure. So one more time, I kept ruminating about the questions that might come up on the exam the next day.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Okay, I kept ruminating.
Room like your bedroom, room like bedroom.
Yes,
and
ruminating.
Then, exactly. I kept ruminating about the questions that might come up on the exam the next day.
I kept ruminating about the questions that might come up on the exam the next day.
Perfect. That's your band 9 level sentence right there. That's the type of content that examiners will eat with a big spoon and say you get a band 9. Amira, thank you so much for volunteering and helping me share some of these important tips. Yeah, you're very, very welcome. Keep coming back, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Actually, I have my speaking test the next Thursday.
Ooh. Okay, so you've got 1 week. Well, we've got...
Wish me luck.
Yeah, good luck. We're going to have, I think, 3 more speaking classes at least before then. So make sure to come back and keep practicing, okay? I think you'll do well, okay?
Okay, I will.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, Amira.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was Amira. Definitely let's give her a thumbs up there. She did a fantastic job. Okay, everybody, that's a wrap, everyone. And if you didn't get a chance to speak in this class, that's not the end of the world. We've got 2 more speaking classes coming up for you this week. We've got speaking part 2 and part 3 on Saturday. And then tomorrow, Friday, we've got reading for members. And then we're doing a listening part 1, part 2 for our subscribers tomorrow. So make sure to subscribe. Students, we really want you to get a great score, and our goal, it's not just about a good score on the IELTS. The higher purpose is to teach you ways to communicate effectively, both in English and in other languages that you speak. And as some of you probably know, my degree is in psychology from the University of Victoria. And we really look at the IELTS exam from the perspective of not just English, but also communication, because you have to focus on both of those for those higher scores like band 7, 8, 9. And a lot of those concepts are found on the website at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. So if you want to learn not just simply English, but also the psychology of communication, then join our courses. You've got general IELTS here at gieltshelp.com, and you've got the academic IELTS at aehelp.com here. You can click that big red button to join, and then really just improve, again, not just for the IELTS, but for school work and a better, more effective, higher quality of everyday living and life. Okay, so check out the websites. Come back tomorrow. We've got 2 classes tomorrow. Thank you, Carolina, for moderating. I saw that you answered a lot of questions there for students. That was great. Fuang, Epsilonator, Anahita, it's great to have you in the class as always. And thank you to our regular viewers and some of our newer viewers that we got to meet today. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I hope to see you in tomorrow's class. Much love to all of you wherever you are in the world today. Stay positive, stay happy. I'm Adrian, signing out from Victoria, Canada for now. Bye, everybody.